My name is Preeti Agrawal and I specialize in integrative medicine. After more than 35 dedicated years of extensive medical practice, I am truly full of profound admiration for the incredible human body, its truly magical power, its remarkable self-healing capabilities, and its amazing self-recovery processes. The fundamental condition for truly unlocking this remarkable potential is an entirely individualized, deeply holistic approach to each and every patient. This compelling film is a powerful testament to what can be genuinely achieved by consistently utilizing comprehensive, holistic treatment methods.
My name is Barbara Szymkiewicz. I was given a diagnosis that required me to go to the hospital immediately and have everything that could be removed. And because I had previously read an article about the doctor's work, and at that time this center was just being established, I remember it was so eye-opening for me that such things could happen in Poland. And then when I had that referral for removal, all those different appointments, I remembered, and it turned out that I could come to see the doctor the very next day. So I came. After the conversation, I already had a lot of fears and a lot of stress, and honestly thoughts like, well, nothing is really worth doing. Everything around me terrified me, including my friends and family. After the first visit, after the second visit, it turned out that things could be different, and that this time we've been given can be used one way or another.
My name is Magdalena Mishura. My story of coming to IMC began when 10 to 12 years ago I was diagnosed with cancer for the first time, breast cancer. At that time, when I was 35 years old, I went through the entire course of treatment that was recommended by conventional medicine doctors. I underwent a breast-conserving surgery, radiotherapy, and 6 years of hormone therapy. At that time, I thought I had done everything I could do. I was under the care of an endocrinologist, a gynecologist, and an oncologist. However, none of these doctors was able to find or offer me the right treatment because I'm a patient who has had breast cancer, so it was hormone-dependent cancer, and I couldn't take all the proposed forms of treatment. After 2.5 years of going back and forth between these doctors, the disease recurred. October 2023, another diagnosis, breast cancer in the same breast next to the incision line. And for me, it was a shock, disbelief. How could this be? I was supposed to be healthy, everything was supposed to be fine, and now I have to face the same thing again, go through the same treatment procedure. I was devastated that I had to go through this again, that I had to face it all over once more.
My name is Kinga Migdał, and I have been diagnosed with endometriosis, a chronic and often painful condition. I officially received my diagnosis in the autumn of 2019 after a long and challenging journey. So it was a very difficult moment for me, full of an intense fear and a significant stress. And right away, I was referred for a medical surgery to remove my uterus and ovaries. So I was really scared at that time. I started seeking further diagnoses from a range of other specialists. And that's how, among other things, I explored alternative options. I ended up here at the IMC Centre with Dr. Agrawal.
My name is Miko Piasecki, and today I have the pleasure of telling you my story. I really like to call it a story of recovery. Not a story of illness, but a story of getting well. Before I found out about the illness that struck me, I was living the life I wanted to live, but it wasn't entirely my own. It was a life marked by considerable success, quite rushed. I was pretty busy, always on the go. I had many friendships, a vibrant social life, and I lived right in the bustling city center. My life was undeniably fast-paced, but deep down, I was completely disconnected from my own body and from my true emotions. And at some critical point, my body unequivocally told me that I absolutely needed to stop. This serious illness, which profoundly impacted my life, was cancer. I found out about it in a very traumatic way. I was handed a simple piece of paper and asked to carefully take it from one hospital ward to another. And on my way to the second ward, I impulsively opened the paper and saw that it clearly said I had been diagnosed with cancer. And I remember that it was such a profound and overwhelming shock for me that I actually don't remember how I got to the second hospital ward at all. I had surgery and I underwent radiotherapy.
My name is Izabela Szymanski. I came to the clinic to the highly respected Dr. Preeti Agrawal in the year 2023 after receiving a very concerning biopsy result, which definitively confirmed a diagnosis of cervical cancer. This came after a truly agonizing 14 months of extensive diagnostics, including no less than 20 separate ultrasounds and 6 individual pap smears, yet still no one seemed to know precisely what was truly wrong with me. However, when I finally received the crucial biopsy results, I was initially told in the hospital that I had, quite surprisingly, endometrial cancer. A week later, I managed to get an appointment with the doctor here, bringing my test results, and it turned out that I actually had cervical cancer, which was later confirmed by a PET scan. And that's when the fight began. I underwent 33 radiotherapy sessions, 5 rounds of chemotherapy, 4 brachytherapy sessions, all with the support of the doctor here. Everything seemed to be going well. It looked like I was on the right track, but then half a year later, it turned out I had metastases. I received 1 round of chemotherapy out of the 6 I was supposed to get, and it almost cost me my life. I nearly wouldn't be sitting here today. And something told me that this isn't the right path, that I really need to find a different treatment for myself. One of the doctors before my appointment with the lady doctor told me I had 1.5 years to live. And he said that if I brought in this ampule, which cost 16,000 zlotys, it turned out later it was just to extend my life by 3 months. Well, statistically, he turned his computer screen toward me and said that 40% of patients survive 60 months. And he said to me, you know, Mrs. Zabalo, it won't be like the lights just go out for you in 1.5 years. Already in a month, you'll start having very serious problems and your quality of life will drop significantly. So I asked what my quality of life would be after the procedure he was proposing, after the chemotherapy, after that injection. He said that life wouldn't be easy, but I would live 60 months longer. And I said that there are other methods, and I mentioned the clinic where I'm being treated. And the doctor told me that you can take the highway, or you can wind your way along the side paths. I said that in that case, I'd rather wind my way along the side paths.
My name is Agata. About 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with malignant breast cancer. After receiving the diagnosis, I felt fear and uncertainty. I started reading extensively, delving into various resources and perspectives, and even then, the clear and promising path I truly wanted to take toward comprehensive healing began to distinctly take shape for me. Subsequently, the highly regarded Dr. Preeti was warmly recommended to me by a very close and trusted friend who had personally been treated by her with great success for many, many years, consistently experiencing positive and lasting results. I came to see the doctor even before the surgery, which is very important. I was perfectly prepared for the operation, and after the successful procedure, I decisively decided that I would actively pursue a comprehensive recovery journey together with the dedicated doctor. I wanted someone to treat me as a whole person, not just as a fragment, as if I were made up only of a breast and we were treating only the breast, but to approach my health in a holistic, comprehensive way. What was important to me about the doctor was that there was no fear, no programming for death, but rather programming for life. There is good energy being conveyed. I truly think that the doctor possesses a very strong and insightful intuition as a dedicated physician, not only to focus intently on the physical body, but also profoundly on the spiritual side, the mind, and the essential mental strength.
I needed holistic therapy because I needed support on every level, physically, so I wouldn't hurt myself or cause lasting harm, and emotionally because honestly, it was a time for me that I would describe as close to depression. I completely lost my joy of life and my quality of life. So I was looking for this kind of holistic support, and that's exactly what I found here at IMC. Here I gained more knowledge about how to help myself, how to get out of this inflammatory state, which is the underlying cause of endometriosis. How to help myself with yoga, with treatments to relax my body, and in this way alleviate endometrial pain, which at that stage was so severe that it would wake me up at night. That's why I trust this kind of holistic therapy, because it truly supported me on every level. I regularly do follow-up tests, and you can see how, as the parameters and markers undergo significant changes, the cysts demonstrably shrink. So both physically, in terms of these crucial biochemical results, but also profoundly in terms of overall well-being, enhanced self-confidence, renewed hope, a sense of deep calmness, and indeed on a much broader emotional level as well.
I got in touch with the doctor. We arranged for me to come to the clinic, and that's how we started working together here. We worked together not only on effectively treating the metastases, but truly on understanding what precisely caused them in the very first place, on addressing my entire physical body, on improving my overall mental and emotional state. Because illness doesn't just come out of nowhere. We nurture it within ourselves. We ignore the signals our bodies send us, and then the result is exactly that, the consequences, which is the illness itself. After a significant period of half a year, it was truly revealed that I had experienced a complete and remarkable regression. All of the metastases had entirely disappeared, and I genuinely believe that the incredibly positive results I have achieved here are profoundly thanks to the insightful suggestions of the dedicated doctor here and the diligent, collaborative work of the entire professional EMC clinic staff, but also, very importantly, to my own personal efforts and unwavering commitment.
When I received the diagnosis, I didn't wait a moment longer because I had already heard about the doctor somewhere before. I had read her books, and I thought, wow, this is someone who might actually be able to help me, that I should go there. And during my important appointment with Dr. Preeti, I clearly saw that someone was truly giving me their valuable time and undivided attention on many different levels. It wasn't just treatment on the physical level, that we would just get rid of the physical symptoms, the tangible ones like a tumor, and do nothing more. Because something inside me was telling me that after being ill for those previous 11 years, I had done everything on the physical level, but I hadn't done anything on the spiritual or emotional level. And really, it was only here, also thanks to the truly wonderful doctor, right? Such profound trust, such an incredible sense of calmness, which truly and deeply rubbed off on me so strongly, made me genuinely start to trust and believe in the process. I started to trust myself, that I can do things differently and that I want to do things differently. Long conversations, detailed interviews, even about things I never would have thought a doctor could. No doctor had ever asked me about that before. Maybe that's why it was so new to me. But here I felt truly listened to and cared for, that someone was listening to me, someone understood me and didn't say that there's nothing that can be done, that it will only get worse, because I kept getting feedback that things would get better, and that everything is possible to achieve. And with my whole self and all those ailments that were in my body, I was cared for by Dr. Preeti. She recommended various forms of treatment, different therapies that were incredibly supportive and truly beneficial. And they really got me back on my feet, because without the essential help of skilled surgeons and other more drastic forms of medical treatment, I started walking again. And now, thankfully, I am able to walk with greater ease. Society also exerts a certain kind of significant pressure, that we have it drilled into our heads that only conventional medicine exists and that there's nothing beyond it. But it turned out there are so many forms of treatment that I might not have even known existed, because I didn't know. No one told me. I had no way of finding out. And here I found all of it in one place, and everything was brought together like that. Nicely and strongly integrated, so that everything complemented each other. And that was also really great, because I found a place where I feel safe. Throughout this whole period, during this 1.5 years of treatment, I haven't had any side effects. I don't even know what side effects after treatment are.
A few years later, already living somewhere else, I found out that the cancer had recurred after all. And that's precisely when I truly realized that there might still be something profoundly possible to discover and find, going beyond just these conventional Western methods and approaches. When the recurrence happened, I was offered radiotherapy again, which I underwent. After that radiotherapy, I decided to combine these methods, including alternative ones as well. And I was very lucky to find the IMC clinic here and the doctor. An approach that strengthens, that reinforces the whole body by boosting the immune system, also strengthening the spirit, and by allowing oneself to feel all emotions. Here, for example, one of the practices that was very, very important to me was the practice of releasing anger. Absolutely perfect. It was something I really needed at that moment, and I still need it because for most of my life I kept that anger hidden. And I think that the root, the cause of illness, is hiding something from yourself. So hiding some emotion, not allowing yourself to fully express yourself. And here that's also possible. So it's a very interesting place where there is support at the same time, in a very physical sense, through infusions and other practices, and at the same time, holistic support.
In these meetings with the doctor, I realized, and I think I've already learned a bit, that it's worth working on yourself and it's worth awakening that power within you. Before, you would just hear people say that everyone has power, everyone can do it, that where there's a will, there's a way, but in reality, it's a journey. A bit like when I once walked the Camino with my daughter, and that was also a journey through life. And now this time here is also like a Camino for me, a journey where I am changing, where I am discovering immense potential within myself, potential I never thought possible before. And I can see that it works, that it also affects other people, but most of all, it affects me. Most of all, I have trust. I have trust in the universe, in the divinity that is also within me, and I no longer feel guilty. In the past, nothing was ever right. I always wanted to fix everything, but now I simply try to live well, to do good, and to have love and gratitude for people.
Also, what's important is that the doctor immediately refers you, at least that was the case for me, for a psychological consultation. And that also really helped me to overcome fear, to overcome anxiety, and above all, the fear of death. I've been on this journey with the doctor in complete trust for almost 5 years now. I changed my professional and personal life and gained a comprehensive understanding of a lot of knowledge about various aspects of broadly understood health prevention, overall well-being, and proactive measures because the doctor always repeats that this strength lies within us. Of course, it is supported by the doctor's diagnosis and by the methods of treatment. Through all the supplements, by combining conventional medicine with integrative medicine. Before the diagnosis, I lived under a lot of stress, always in a rush, and I had a very demanding and responsible job that also contributed significantly to my condition. These visits to the doctor allowed me to change my professional life, to calm down, to achieve emotional peace. And this change was not easy because people are used to living on the run, chasing success, chasing material things. And at some point, this illness also comes to tell you to stop.
I can see how all of this works together and supports me. It was profoundly difficult and incredibly challenging during my time in therapy throughout the entire treatment process. The hardest and most arduous part was undeniably overcoming the pervasive fear and truly reaching deep within myself to find that profound inner strength, that unwavering hope and conviction that I possessed the capability to handle this. It was also very difficult and quite challenging to shift that deep trust and focused attention from just the logical mind and intellectual understanding to the profound level of feeling, truly trusting, and openly receiving subtle signals from the body itself. And after that, it's all just wonderful and profound benefits, because beyond that initial fear, beyond those intense emotions, beyond that significant stress and uncomfortable bodily tension, Then you truly discover such wonderfully amazing things that honestly, now I am even at a point where I am profoundly grateful for this particular illness, because I understand that it was a very important developmental stimulus for me. I am now in a completely different and profoundly transformative place with a completely different, much deeper and more expansive awareness, accompanied by this incredibly strong and unwavering inner grounding. I'm closer to myself, more attuned to my own needs.
I have reevaluated many things in my life. I was always rushing, always working a lot. I never had time to rest. And now I no longer live solely to work, but rather I live to truly live well and to be profoundly at peace with my inner self. And this deeply personal work is an ongoing journey, and I genuinely believe it will continue to last until the very end of my life, and perhaps even one day longer. The significant illness that ultimately came to me also arrived for a profound reason, didn't it? So that I would take care of myself, so that I would pay attention to areas of my life that you could say had been neglected before. Also so that I would stop doing everything for everyone around me and nothing for myself. The illness gave me the peace I now feel inside, the certainty that I am healthy, and the confidence that things will be fine in the future as long as I lead the right lifestyle, because that is very important. What I have changed a lot in myself is exactly this positive thinking. Before the illness, I practiced what you might call pessimism. Whatever good happened in my life, sometimes when I went to bed at night, I felt like it would all disappear soon, or maybe something bad would happen. And now I don't have that anymore.
Of course, when you're faced with a situation like cancer or a serious health issue, the fear becomes very intense because there are so many projections. I even experienced in that initial stage with Western medicine projections about life expectancy that were completely absurd in my experience and very harmful to patients. And that generates fear, which just stays in the body. It's really, really hard to get rid of it afterwards. Somehow extract it. To see that this fear underneath has a specific story, one that predicts a certain version of the future, which may or may not actually happen. Today, I think I'm really in a good place. I feel much more confident, and above all, I know what my path is. I live at a pace that's good for me, in a happy relationship, in a place that's right for me. And now I'm discovering that thanks to this kind of holistic strengthening, I have more energy again. I'm regaining my energy. I'm also regaining, for example, the desire to work a bit more, but in harmony with myself, with my body, and with my own rhythm.
It's always better, it's never worse. I feel better, I have more energy, more joy, more peace within myself, more understanding, more empathy towards myself, and I listen to myself more. And with many, many things, I already know precisely how to handle them, what exactly I can do for myself when this particular situation or that specific challenge comes up, how I can help myself, with which techniques.
Recently, I also discovered these vibrations. I had heard about them before, but now I actually felt them. And when these vibrations are really high, suddenly everything falls into place. There are no problems, and you really have to let go of the low ones. Low vibrations are often associated with feelings such as intense fear, deep-seated anger, persistent anxiety, profound guilt, and overwhelming worries. And those high vibrations are things like trust in divinity, trust in yourself, in your own heart, in that intuition that quietly whispers to you. Three months after I started coming here for consultations with the doctor, the harp came back into my life. Because back in high school and during my university years, I used to play the harp, but then I had to give it up because of family, children, and so on and so on. And in Gostin, there wasn't even any demand for a harp. There simply weren't such opportunities. And then suddenly some of my dreams were awakened. My spiritual strength as well, because I was also reading the book, The Power is Within You, and that power really is there. So first I borrowed a harp. Of course, there were people who helped, and then it just kept developing and developing. Now the harp is already mine. I bought it. So I'm very happy about it, and my surroundings have changed. Suddenly, everyone around me started behaving differently. This spirituality that the doctor is talking about, I'm only just learning it.
My story was also quite unusual in all of this. I had been alone for a few years, and somehow, well, it just wasn't working out for the man of my dreams to appear in my life. And then a new relationship we started. We lived together for 5 months, and suddenly, bam, diagnosis. Cancer. And wow, not only did this truly remarkable man not run away after receiving such a serious diagnosis, but he also genuinely made it so that this profound love and unwavering support helped me a great deal in courageously fighting against the debilitating disease. The result of all this is that today he is now my husband. So love, faith, and the profound belief that everything will ultimately work out for the best truly do perform remarkable wonders.
I think it's worth emphasizing that throughout this whole process of treatment and finding myself, I am now in a completely different spiritual place. I have this deep inner strength so that no matter what truly happens, no matter what turmoil is going on very much around me, I am always more firmly grounded in my own self, within myself. So I experience it as energetic changes, some turbulence, but I feel that I am myself, in my heart, in my body, and that gives me strength and brings about change. What I can recommend is simply to trust yourself, to have the openness to step into it and give it a try. Because really, why not? There are no side effects here. You can only come away with unexpected gifts and benefits for yourself.
I made the conscious decision to seek comprehensive treatment completely outside the established system, even though many of my dear friends and close family members repeatedly asked me, indeed, they earnestly begged my loving husband to influence me, to gently persuade me to choose a significantly different path, specifically the system-approved one. I firmly said no, absolutely not, because I felt a profound conviction deep inside myself, a strong inner knowing. My body was telling me that this was the right path. My intuition told me that I should get treated here, and that's final. And so that's the decision I made. And today it is precisely 15 long months since the doctor's initial diagnosis, and I genuinely feel absolutely great, truly wonderful. The bright light has certainly not gone out for me, and my overall quality of life is most definitely much, much better than if I had made other, perhaps less beneficial decisions here in this crucial situation.
I wasn't entirely comfortable with the conventional medicine system, finding its approach often too narrow and focused. Additionally, the way oncology treatment is approached, with its sometimes aggressive protocols and significant side effects, also presented considerable concerns for me. Our system, or rather what I would call a spreadsheet system, recommends chemotherapy as the first line of treatment for women with breast cancer to shrink the tumor. I can't judge because I'm not a doctor whether this is the right path or not, but I felt that it wasn't for me. Today I'm in a different place, in a different time and space. I have a different approach to life, and I still intend to walk this path with the doctor.
My message is that we should believe in ourselves, give ourselves a chance, and look for places, because there are such places, that are patient-friendly and take a holistic approach to treatment. They don't just treat the body, they also address emotions and the soul, which is great because we are a whole. You can't separate the body and treat it in isolation, like an endocrinologist used to do. They strictly focused only on what was within their own field, the gynecologist in their field, the oncologist in theirs, but they couldn't meet anywhere and find a common solution for my ailments. But here I received that in one place I was taken care of comprehensively, and that was exactly what I needed. The change was incredible. It's like this inner transformation that happened to me. That's what it is, that I know things can be different. And even the difficult emotions that are somewhere inside us, because each of us has some difficult experiences, whether from childhood or from later in life, all those difficult experiences are also necessary for us because they shape us, they build us. Without them, we wouldn't be the people we are today. Maybe we wouldn't even have discovered the potential we have within ourselves, because that's probably what it's about, that each of us has this powerful potential for self-healing, but it's really, really deeply covered up, buried, so that we don't even think we have it, right? So for me, it was a period when I truly regained myself and returned to who I am. And that was probably the most important thing.
Welcoming all these emotions. Also welcoming, as my Zen teachers used to say, all parts of myself, the part that is afraid and also the part that believes, the part that is strong and the part that at the moment is all tense, and just welcoming them all, right? Maybe even give them a hug, and as much as possible take the first steps, then the next one and the next.
It's really worth it to invest in yourself, to take care of yourself, and to listen to yourself. And then you truly become free, because that freedom is exactly the freedom of choice. So I play the harp. I'm a happy person today, and what the future holds, time will tell, but I don't worry about it anymore.